One of the things that inspires me about salmon is they start life what could literally be in your backyard in Santa Cruz. And then throughout their life, they make a migration that takes them down a river, out into the ocean. They see a huge amount of the Pacific, and then they come sort of right back to your backyard. Salmon populations were strong and remained relatively stable and abundant up until European colonization of California. Spawning runs that used to be in the tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands of fish, now down to the hundreds of fish. So like really, really dramatic declines in abundance. A lot of the harvest mortality is selective, so it's non-random. And so the changes in abundance have also been accompanied by changes in traits like maturation age. We worked with indigenous groups and archaeologists to recover otolith bones, which is a bone in the head of all fish. And what's important about this bone is it grows in increments you can count. And by counting those increments, you can age the salmon, just like by counting tree rings, you can age a tree. So what we can do for any fish we collect, either a fish from today or a fish that was harvested sometime in the past, is we can count the number of growth rings and figure out how old that fish was when it returned to spawn. Generally speaking, we have seen a recent decline in age for Chinook salmon, sort of coast-wide and even beyond California. We see this in Oregon, Washington, and even in Alaska. We know we've lost age structure in the past 100 years. The question that we were asking with this study is, what about 1,000 years ago, 5,000 years ago, or more? What has happened is that age structure that previously would have had 3, 4, 5, and 6-year-olds all reproducing, now it's really mostly 3-year-olds. And so if there's a really bad year for that cohort of 3-year-olds, you will have extremely low reproduction because very few fish will be returning to spawn. Just like you don't want all your stocks in one company, because if that company goes bust, you also don't want all your individuals to be represented by exactly the same genetic type or exactly the same phenotype. One of the goals of a lot of the projects on the Feather River and the Klamath River and other coastal streams is to restore that historical age structure. One of the strategies we can take is to use hatcheries in a slightly different way. Because of the way many hatcheries work, the goal is to produce as many fish as possible, but that's not necessarily a feature of hatcheries. It's just a feature of the way hatcheries have historically been used. We could use hatcheries to specifically target reproduction of later maturing fish to try to actively restore those fish so that we can increase their frequency in the population, which I think would have some really specific benefits. In sort of working with our tribal partners on the Klamath River, one of our goals is to try to do the same thing simply by restoring historical spawning habitat. By removing the dams and restoring some of the upstream spawning habitat, it's actually sort of a natural way of favoring the larger, later maturing fish because they're the ones that have the greatest potential to make it to these headwater streams. And so we can sort of use a combination of hatcheries and habitat restoration to try to achieve this goal of restoring this lost age structure. Further north, there's been several nice years of returns that indicate that there is potentially the beginnings of some population recovery. These signs of hope, even if it is maybe one species in one location, what makes me optimistic is that it starts to inform our overall strategy. I think one of the challenges is to reconnect people to salmon, but I don't think that's a hard thing to do because I think people naturally are attracted to them. They do see them and think they're inspiring.